Hey Wargamers, today we're going to be doing build a list, and we're going to do orcs. We got a request to build 1500 and 1750 that are good against Blood Angels, Necrons, and Eldar. Okay, here's an overview of an Orc Army 1750, and then what we'll do is tailor it down to 1500. But again, a heavy assault Blood Angel army, most likely a shooty Necron army, and a shooty Eldar. Not too sure about the new rules with Eldar, but this should be pretty effective against a lot of different armies. So first of all, 1750. Get my notes. We're going to start off with Big Mech. He's got the force field, heavy armor, cyborg body, boss pole, and combi scorcha. He's going to be in a group of 20 boys that does not have a knob, so he's going to be the enforcer with his boss pole. And there's 2 big shooters in that group. Here's another set of 20 boys, knob, power claw, boss pole, 2 big shooters, and same thing, knob, power claw, boss pole, 2 big shooters. So a total of 60 boys. That'll be really good against shooting. By the way, shooters. So it'll be good at 18 inches as well as any kind of overwatch. It'll be really good against that. And it's also going to include Gazgul and a squad of troop mega knobs, 3 of them. And this group has, all 3 of them have combi flamers, the mega knobs. They're going to be in a truck with a reinforced ram. Then we're going to get 15 Ludas. These guys are amazing. And depending on the elite count, you could probably break them up into 10 and 5 or whichever you want to do. 2 groups is good for averages. You're more likely to get 2 or 3 shots each if you have multiple groups. Then we're going to do 3 Death Copters. We're going to hold these in reserve to do outflank. I usually run them in 3 separate groups so that you have a higher chance of at least one coming out. And they have rockets, twin link rockets. Next, for the heavy support, we have 3 sets of 3 kilocans. I only have 6, so space them out a little bit. So 3 sets of 3. The first group has got all Grotzukas. Those actually they're pretty effective if you have 3 of them in a group. If you saw the last battle report. Then we have a group of 3 rockets. These are just proxying space fillers. So 3 rockets, and then you have 2 big shooters and 1 Grotzuka. And these are probably the best shooting that the orcs have besides the little grotlings or whatever. They have you can hit on 4s. Now, if you wanted to trim this down, this is 1750. If you wanted to trim down some points, what I would suggest is changing the Grotzuka to a big shooter, so there'll be 3 big shooters. And I'll email the person the list, or maybe put up a list of the points. I would, to trim down, I would eliminate 5 of these, so that's 75 points. And then I would swap out Gazgul for a War Boss, and the War Boss would have Power Claw, Boss Pole, Heavy Armor, Cyborg Body. And then I would also reduce one of the rockets to a big shooter. So that should bring you down to 1500 points exactly. And that would be very effective. So now we're going to go into probably like what I would call a pretty good deployment using this. It's essentially the kilocan wall. A lot of people don't use it in 6. I still think it's really good because the kilocans can shoot really well, and then the custom force field gives them a 5-up cover save, which is really effective, and not everything can take them down right away. Alright, here's an example deployment that I would do. Obviously it'll change a little bit here and there because of the terrain that are on the board, but you'll at least get an idea of what the goal is here. So if you're going first, I would suggest putting the truck with Thraka and the Mega Knobs out as far out as possible. By the way, the red is the back of the board, and this red is your front of your 12-inch deployment. Just more visually appealing without an edge of a board. Anyways, if you're going first, I'd put this truck out and just go as fast as possible. Straight out 24 inches. You'll be able to just barely hit their front line. The main reason is that next turn they'll have to blow up the truck and they'll have to throw everything they can possibly imagine into it. If you want, you could call his... If he survives to the second turn, you can call his WOG, you can hit it, you can hit their tanks, you can hit their soft troops like rocket launchers and things like that. So this truck, if you go first, this truck is going to take all the heat for the most part because they have to deal with it. It's extremely expensive point-wise, but they have to shoot at it, or Thraka and the Mega Knobs and the Burnas will just walk through them. And Buster 40K and Bolter 40K always near me in the tactics and videos. You'll see them fighting in the background all the time. It's really cute. But anyways, now the next tactic I want to go over is Ludas. I actually chose to split up 6 and 7. Or 6 and 9. Sorry, there was a total of 15. The reason why I like to put them on both corners is that the firing line for this side is all of this arc, and on this side it's hugging the board all this arc. And that is because a lot of players, especially fast players or assault players, they try to shoot up the sides because they try to avoid the middle, because the middle is the kill grounds. So if you actually put the Ludas on the far left and far right, I mean, you could do it on the edge of the board, or you can kind of move it around a little bit in this area just to get a good line of sight. And if they do try to go up the middle and to avoid the side, you'll have a perfect kill box. You'll have the Ludas shoot that way and Ludas shoot that way, and anything in the center here is just going to be wiped out. Even if it was tanks or skimmers or, Terminators or anything like that. Next, the boys are positioned behind the wall. This gives you a 5-up or a 4-up depending on who you're playing with. Usually it's a 5-up. So you have the 20 boys. We have the big shooter here, and Power Claw with at least one line of guys behind. The reason why is any kind of deep strike or drop pod or anything, at least there's some line of defense for the Knob and the Power Claws. Lookout Sir on a 4-up, you're still kind of gambling, so I wouldn't do that. There's the second set of boys, and here's the third, same thing, big shooter, not too far back because he's got 6-inch range, and then the Power Claw with the boss ball. So when you're trying to shoot at these groups, you'll barely be able to get line of sight, if not a 4 or 5. Remember, these are extra kilocans. The person that requested had 9, so I'm building a list for him. And then, if you can get line of sight, it would be of a 5 or a 4-up. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's a big mech in the middle right there. And you keep in mind this is all going to change, but whether you go first or second, this is probably be, except for the truck, this will probably be relatively similar. There might be some terrain that you might need to move around, it doesn't matter. But the main reason the big mech is right there, which is always a good investment, every Orc Army should have a big mech, is that his group is within 6, obviously. This, by the way, this is 6 inches. This group is in 6, this boys. Then you got 1 kilocan group in, 2 kilocan group in, 3 kilocan group in, the other boys. So this entire wall, except for ending right here, this entire wall has a 5-up cover. And if you've ever played an Orc Army, that 5-up cover is just priceless. It gets very annoying, and the orcs are always rolling 5s and 6s to hit anything except for the killicans. It can be devastating. Lastly, I put the copters on the side because they're going to stay in reserve. Turn 2, you're going to roll 3 dice, and they're going to come out. So with the reserve on your copters, they all come in. Wow, okay, that's going to be rare. All of them missing. The point I'm trying to get across is that you get it at least one, almost every single game. I haven't failed that yet. So now that I said that, I mean, no, I fail it right now. But the point of these guys is they're going to come out on the sides and hit soft, either artillery units, tanks, or some sort of troop artillery round like Ludas or rocket launchers or mortar team, las cannon team, or anything else that will really hit you from far away. And then if they do survive, which they're kind of a throwaway unit for the single purpose, if they do survive, and you get near close combat, you're going to want to assault with the copter first so that the overwatch goes on them. And then what you can do is then assault with the boys or the killicans if you're going into like a heavy rocket team or something like that. It'll absorb up the overwatch. So that's a really good one. And then the Grotzukas. The big shooters are the cheapest ones, so therefore they're in the front. And if you notice, they're positioned at angles. So that if this is the closest model, that's going to die first. If this is the closest model, that'll die first, and vice versa. So that the furthest back model is the closest to the force field. So that way, if he blows this one up, now these two don't have a cover save. So you got to be very careful on that. And just advance this whole group up. And if the killicans actually make it, great, they're good in close combat, they'll just take some things out. If they don't make it, the big shooters will at least get a round, maybe 2 in shooting. Grotzukas will survive long enough to get at least 1 round, maybe 2 of their little small blasts. And the rockets, they're going to be more of a target than any of them, so that's why, you know, depending on who you play, they might last a little longer. The last battle report against Lady Mech, they lasted quite a bit, even though they weren't really hitting anything, but usually they hit on a 4-up. So that's good. So here's this is 1750, and if you actually go back in the video, you can see how we can trim this down to 1500. But this is extremely effective. It's a kind of a shooty army. Boys do well in close combat, even as a shooter. These will do well. If you actually move this up and just, I doubt the truck will survive, but even if it blows up, all these guys have great armor saves with 2 wounds. If you survive to the next turn, you jump these guys out and just create as much havoc as possible. Create as much havoc as possible to where all the gunfire's on them. And then secondary, these guys will take up some gunfire, and the whole point is to Ludas shoot in while the boys move up. Or maybe even hold objectives. And the good news is you got 1, 2, 3, and the Mega Knobs is 4. You have 4 scoring units. So I hope this helped. Let me know your comments. See what you would change. I built this specifically off of a list. One of the comments had a list of orcs, and he was having a tough time against some Blood Angels. So I think this would be pretty effective against Blood Angels, especially heavy assault. The Overwatch would be outrageous. And the close combat, they'd have to hit these guys first. and they'd have to use crack grenades, which might hurt some of them, but I mean, it'll be great, especially with the boys being able to assault in and help the assault out. And then these will just be scary. Alright, well, I hope they enjoy that. Remember to like. If you could, subscribe. That's always great. You'll see the updates of the videos as they come about. And let me know.